So in the first part of this video, I talked about what a literary analysis is and developing a thesis statement. Sorry, someone is in my driveway. Um, so um, Now I want to kind of go through the rest of your paper, the body, more specifically the body paragraphs, because that's really the meat of your essay. So body paragraphs are going to have um, three distinct parts. They're going to have a topic sentence that really establishes the analytical point that you are trying to make in the paragraph. These topic sentences should not be plot related, and they should not begin with a quote or some sort of textual source. So you always want the first word. So it should be a clear point that you are going to make about the text as your topic sentence. After you do that, then you can provide and lead your way into some context, some evidence where you quote and provide details of the text that are cited. And then the important part are these elaboration sentences that kind of explain how the evidence relates to the point that you're trying to make, the point of your topic sentence. Then after you do that, you can provide more evidence, and you should have more evidence. You should have more than one piece of textual evidence in a literary analysis. You should probably have a couple or three, and they shouldn't be longer than a sentence or two. No blocked quotes. If I wanted to read that much text, I'd just read the book. So more evidence, more elaboration sentence, and then a concluding sentence that comes that connects back to your theme or your thesis statement. I'm going to talk very briefly about types of support. And I talk a lot about this in the overview section for this unit. But direct quotes, summaries of scenes, paraphrases, citing other sources, citing other critics' analysis or secondary sources, and then of course discussion of historical and social context all count as support for your analysis. Secondary sources are anything that discusses the text that you're discussing, and they can be books, articles, etc., that look at theory related to the argument you're making, social or historical context, or the text itself. So you can find secondary sources through the academic databases, the Dictionary of Literary Biography, a bibliography that is part of your text, or through me. You can ask me. I love doing research. I love helping. So you can always find secondary sources. The best place to start is probably with the academic databases, and there are some good examples of literary sources. So you also want to make sure that you integrate your secondary sources to show how they relate to your thesis. You don't want to overuse any secondary source, and remember that it is your paper, it is your argument. The secondary sources are just helping you out, and never, ever, ever plagiarize. After working with your body paragraphs and incorporating your primary and your secondary sources, of course, you ultimately want to reach some sort of conclusion. And in your conclusion, you do two things. You restate your thesis, you explain your argument again in different words, and then, and this is the most important part, you want to look at the larger implication. In other words, how does your reading of the text complicate, enrich, or kind of emphasize our understanding of a larger literary, social, historical, or cultural movement, or appreciation for a significant issue like reason, emotion, sexuality, class, death, religion, etc. The list goes on in a particular context. In other words, in what makes this class different than your other English classes like English 111, English 112, we're really looking at the development of a literary time period, and all of these have significant implications socially, historically, etc. how the Times viewed particular themes, particular issues, particular themes, particular issues, um, in a way that we wouldn't understand fully if we didn't have those historical, social, political context. So look at the larger implication as to what the text is suggesting on a grand scheme, so to speak. So just to recap, when writing a literary analysis, you want to make sure that you are familiar with the text. So, i.e., you've got to read the text that you're analyzing, and the literary terms. You want to analyze specific items, make an argument. Don't just summarize the story, and make appropriate use of secondary sources if and when you're asked to do so. And of course, if I always hope that you'll consult me for help if you need it. And just one final thing that I want to throw out there, things that you want to avoid, like the plague. You want to avoid declarative statements like "I am going to analyze" or empty, fluffy, personal phrases like "I believe," "in my opinion." Those are going to weaken your authority as a writer. And you also want to avoid the second person you. Again, I hope that these are all things that you talked about in English 111 and 112. But this is just a basic gist overall of looking at what it means to write a literary analysis and the basic components that all of your essays should have. So let me know if you have any questions. Again, this is just for your reference. And I, again, will put this PowerPoint in Canvas so you can refer back to it at various stages, and you don't have to listen to me go on and on again. So let me know if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, and I will see you guys soon.